during a family getaway. My parents took my credit card and laughed. "You won't need this," they said. I grinned and replied, "Funny, I just canceled it." The moment the hotel manager entered, their laughter stopped. I knew this trip would be a disaster before we even left home. My parents have always felt entitled, like the world owed them everything. I should have seen this coming when my dad suddenly invited me to join them on a Florida vacation, even though we hadn't talked much in years, unless they wanted something. But I went, mostly because my younger brother, Nathan, begged me to come. He's the only family member I care about, so I figured, why not? A week in Florida couldn't be that bad. I was wrong. From the moment we arrived, my parents treated me like a walking ATM. They assumed I'd pay for everything, no asking, just expecting. It started small: coffee, snacks, a cab ride to the hotel, but by the second day, they were charging meals to my room, booking activities in my name, and treating my credit card like their own personal account. I confronted them, and my mom brushed me off. "Don't be dramatic," she said. "You make plenty of money. What's a little vacation cost?" My dad nodded like it made perfect sense. "It's not like you have a family to look after. You should be grateful we invited you." I was fuming. They invited me on my own dime, are you kidding? The final straw came on the fourth night. We were in the hotel lounge when my dad pulled out my credit card, grinning like a child with a new toy. "You won't need this," he said, slipping it into his pocket. My mom giggled along. I smiled. "Funny, I just canceled it." Their expressions went from smug to shocked in an instant. "What?" my dad said, a mix of disbelief and panic creeping into his voice. I showed them my phone screen, card successfully cancelled. My mom's jaw clenched. "You're kidding, right?" I shrugged. "Nope, bank said all transactions will be declined. Hope you weren't planning to use it." Right then, the hotel manager walked in, tall, businesslike, and sharp in a well-tailored suit. He didn't waste any time. "Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds," he said, addressing my parents, "there seems to be an issue with your account. Your credit card has been declined." My parents exchanged confused looks before my dad spoke. "It's a mistake," he said quickly. "Run it again." The manager raised an eyebrow. "We've already tried multiple times." Turning to me, he asked, "Would you like to provide another form of payment for the room, sir?" My parents immediately looked to me, expecting me to fix it, like I always had before, but not this time. I leaned back, crossed my arms, and said, "Oh, I'm not paying for their room. That's on them." My mom's face went crimson. "Excuse me?" My dad scoffed. "Don't be ridiculous." But the manager wasn't having any of it. "If that's the case," he said coolly, "Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds, you need to settle your balance immediately, otherwise, we'll have to ask you to vacate the room." That's when they lost it. My mom started yelling about how unfair it was, how they were my parents, and I owed them. My dad turned to me, his voice low and threatening. "You canceled that card without telling us? Do you know what you've done?" "Oh, I know exactly what I've done," I said calmly. "I stopped you from using me like an ATM." The manager cleared his throat. "If you cannot provide a valid form of payment, we'll have no choice but to contact the authorities." That's when the real screaming began. My mom wailed about how I was ruining the trip, while my dad ranted about how disrespectful kids today were. The other guests in the lounge stared, some even stopping what they were doing to watch the spectacle. Nathan, who had been quiet up until now, finally spoke. "Why don't you just pay for your own room?" he suggested. Simple, logical. But my dad snapped. "Stay out of this." That was the mistake that set everything off. Nathan, who had spent his entire life watching our parents manipulate me, had had enough. And what he did next, well, that's when the real chaos erupted. Nathan stood up, his chair nearly toppling over. His face was flushed, not from embarrassment, but from rage. He had always been the quiet one, trying to avoid conflict, but something inside him snapped. "No," he said firmly, "I'm not staying out of this. I'm done pretending this is okay." My dad was taken aback, his expression a mix of shock and fury. "You don't talk to me like that," he snarled. "Sit down." Nathan didn't sit. He turned to me. "Let's go," he said. "I don't want to be here anymore." I hesitated. I didn't want to leave him alone with them. "Go where?" my mom barked. "You're a kid, you can't just leave." Nathan rolled his eyes. "I'm 18, I can do whatever I want." That's when my dad lunged, not at me, but at Nathan. He grabbed Nathan's wrist, yanking him back toward the table. Nathan winced, struggling to pull away, but my dad held on, his grip tightening. You think you're grown now? My dad sneered. You think you can just walk away from this family? Let him go, I said, my voice icy. He didn't. His fingers dug into Nathan's skin. I stood up so quickly that my chair crashed to the floor with a loud thud. The entire lounge fell silent, every eye in the room on us. Let him go, I repeated. My dad glared at me, but something in my expression must have given him pause, because his grip loosened just enough. Nathan wrenched his arm free and backed away, breathing heavily. And then, in a moment of perfect karma, the hotel manager stepped forward again. That's enough, he said coldly, Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds, I need you to come with me now. My mom scoffed. What? Why? The manager didn't even flinch. Because multiple guests have reported that you physically grabbed a young man against his will, and your account is still unpaid. Security is on their way. For the first time that night, my parents looked genuinely scared. My dad turned to me, his voice desperate. Listen, we need to talk about this. We're still family. You don't want to do this. I tilted my head. No, you don't want me to do this, but I think I do. Before he could respond, 2 security guards walked in, large, no-nonsense guys who weren't there to argue. Is there a problem here? One asked. The manager nodded. Escort them out. My mom laughed, but it was a shrill, disbelieving sound. You can't be serious, we're guests here. Not anymore, the manager replied. That's when my dad tried one last thing. He turned to Nathan, his voice almost pleading. You're really going to let them do this to us? He asked. After everything we've done for you? Nathan looked at his hand, still red from where my dad had grabbed him. He glanced up at my dad, then spoke. You didn't do anything for me, Nathan said. You did everything to me. Just like that. The security guards grabbed my parents by the arms and escorted them out the front doors. I exhaled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Nathan turned to me, eyes wide, still processing everything. I forced a smile and said, well, looks like it's just the 2 of us now. Nathan gave a slight nod. Yeah, I guess so, but just as we turned to head back to our room, my phone buzzed with a notification. I checked it, and my stomach dropped. A fraud alert. My parents had tried to open a credit card in my name. I stared at the screen, still in shock. Fraud alert. My parents had actually tried to get a new card under my name. Nathan noticed my reaction. What is it? I handed him the phone, and his face twisted in disgust. Are you serious? He said. Nope, I muttered. They didn't even wait an hour before trying to screw me over again. I didn't waste time. I dialed the bank and called right there in the hotel lounge. After a few rings, someone picked up. Hello, this is Mark from Capital One Fraud Prevention. How can I assist you? Yeah, I said, keeping my voice level. I just got an alert. Someone tried to open a credit card in my name. It wasn't me. Mark became serious immediately. Got it. I'll need to verify a few details and then we'll start investigating. I answered the security questions, confirmed my identity, and within moments, he was digging through my account records. Okay, he said. It looks like the application was made just a few minutes ago from a device connected to a guest Wi-Fi network at Sunview Resort in Florida. I almost laughed. That's where I'm staying. They didn't even bother to hide it. Nathan shook his head, stunned. Mark continued. We'll block that application right now. I'd also recommend freezing your credit immediately. Should I transfer you to our identity theft department? Yeah, I said. Please do. As I was on hold, Nathan crossed his arms. So, what now? Just keep shutting them down every time? I clenched my jaw. No, this time, we go on the offense. When my call ended, I pulled up my parents' contact info. Then, for the first time, I dialed their number. It rang twice before my dad answered, his voice still thick with anger. Oh, now you want to talk? I didn't waste time. Hey, Dad, just wanted to let you know your fraud attempt got flagged. My bank's investigating it now. Silence. Then I heard my mom's sharp voice in the background. What did he say? My dad hesitated. We didn't. I cut him off. Don't even try it. The bank traced it back to the hotel Wi-Fi. You're the only ones desperate enough to do this right after you got kicked out. You're being ridiculous, my mother snapped, now fully on the phone. We were just trying to fix things. You left us stranded. I nearly choked on a laugh. Fix things by committing identity theft? We had no choice, she hissed. We have nothing left. You did that to yourselves, I said, coldly. And by the way, I just froze my credit. You won't be able to try this again. You ungrateful little. I hung up. Nathan let out a breath. Unbelievable. Yeah, I muttered, but they're not done. They'll try something else. I was right. The next morning, we got a knock on our door. I opened it, half expecting security again, but no, this time, it was the police. Is this your name? One officer asked, his face serious. Yeah. We received a report that you stole your parents' credit card and committed fraud. I blinked. What? The second officer pulled out a notepad. Your parents filed a complaint last night. They claim you stole their financial information and used it without permission. I couldn't help but laugh. That's rich. I literally have a fraud alert from my bank saying they tried to open a card in my name. I was the one who reported them. The officers exchanged a glance. Do you have proof of that? Oh, you bet I do. I showed them the bank notifications, the call logs, and the email confirming my credit freeze. I made sure they saw everything with the correct timestamps. The officers nodded slowly. Well, one of them said, that certainly changes things. Yeah, I said, crossing my arms, and I want to press charges. For the first time, I felt a sense of power. My parents had been so good at manipulation for so long, but this time, they'd gone too far. All right, the first officer said, slipping his notepad into his pocket. This isn't looking good for them. The second officer nodded. And you're sure you want to press charges? I didn't hesitate. Yes, 100%. Nathan looked at me, surprised, not because he disagreed, but because he never thought I'd actually go this far. 4 years, we'd tolerated their abuse, their manipulation, their sense of entitlement, but not anymore. The officers took my statement, gathered the evidence, and promised to follow up with me. Then, they left. Nathan exhaled. Holy crap, you actually did it. Yep, I said, and I'm not finished. I knew exactly where my parents were. After getting kicked out of the hotel, they had nothing, no credit cards, no cash, just their luggage and their pride. I was sure they were scrambling for a way out, so I decided to make things worse. While the police handled the fraud case, I called the rental car company. Hi, I said sweetly, I need to report a vehicle that might be at risk of unauthorized use. My parents had rented a car in my name before we even left, another thing they didn't bother to tell me, but it was still in my name. I explained the situation to the company, how I was the legal renter, how my parents were committing fraud, and how I feared they'd try to take the car. The customer service rep was more than willing to help. No problem, she said. We'll report the vehicle as unauthorized and have security retrieve it immediately. Oh, and they'll be blacklisted from renting from us again. Nathan laughed when I told him, dude, you're destroying them. Yeah, I said, and I'm just getting started. The best part came later that afternoon when I got an update from the police. My parents had been picked up at a cheap motel after making a scene when their card got declined again. They'd been begging strangers for help, claiming we'd scammed them. The police didn't believe them. They were arrested for attempting identity theft. And since my dad had grabbed Nathan the night before, the hotel manager handed over security footage, adding an assault charge to their list. But it got even better. When the rental car was towed back, they found a stash of stolen hotel items inside, towels, a mini fridge, you name it. So, guess who got slapped with theft charges? Yep. At this point, my parents were completely screwed. No money, no car, a criminal record, and their home? It wasn't even theirs anymore. They'd been behind on the mortgage for months, using my credit to stay afloat. Now, with my credit frozen, they couldn't pay. Within 3 months, the bank foreclosed on their house. The aftermath? Nathan and I never spoke to them again. We stayed at the resort, upgraded to a suite, and used the money I saved by not covering their expenses. A few months later, I moved Nathan in with me, far from our parents. He started college, finally free from their control. As for my parents, they ended up living in a rundown apartment with no credit, no savings, and no one left to take advantage of. Their last-ditch attempt? They sent me a pathetic email begging for forgiveness and claiming it was all a misunderstanding. I didn't reply. Instead, I forwarded it to their parole officer because some people don't deserve a second chance. Thanks for watching, stay stunned, and I'll see you in the next video.